Alright, hello everyone. So the following is Uniting America, defining the problem, the fear-based system. And please stay with me to the end of the video so I can show you my new t-shirt so y'all can see how to help me find the alien that stole my spaceship. So, okay, first, I want to say that America is in trouble right now. A lot of things are kind of coming to fruition. And in a lot of ways, I wish that, I had at least the popularity to kind of like run for the presidency. But unfortunately, life has not granted me that. Um, So what we need to do is we need to popularize what I'm doing so that America can be put on a better path. Because right now we're going toward a very dangerous path. And I mean, I know eventually what I do wins out and or else, maybe it doesn't win out. Maybe it's just the theory. Well, no, I'd have to say I believe it wins out, or else they wouldn't have. I still don't understand the whole time thing where they told me, why did they need to come back and tell me I was right? I haven't really put that piece together unless by the time that they actually travel back, maybe I'm no longer alive. I don't know. I don't want to say that because my goal, is to prove everybody wrong and try and live to like I'm 239. Now, I know that's an impossible goal, but I think impossible goals are always nice to have. I've set a few of them and I've accomplished them. Now, I wouldn't say I've accomplished them to anything to this degree, but the place and the situations that I was in, yeah, yeah, I made the impossible possible, and I can do it again. I can always do it. Um, but yeah, America's in trouble. There's a threat of communism knocking the door in New York City. And oh man, communism is horrible, but we're also seeing it from the right too, with combining corporations basically with the government. Um, they're both they both stem from Marxist concepts, and I don't agree with Marx. I mean, the fallacy of Marx is that he believed in giving people who haven't ever managed power to have power, and then once they get the power, to give up the power. It's a rare individual that gives up power, and communism doesn't like raise the level of consciousness. It basically creates a two-tier class. Um, Basically the have and the have-nots. And so, man, I knew this time would come. Um, it's so weird seeing it. Sometimes you don't want to speak about things, especially from like my beliefs, because I believe that our thoughts create reality. But so many people have been manipulated so much that they're creating the wrong reality. And you're basically giving up your sovereign right to create this world. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring back your sovereignty. Okay, so that's basically what my whole plan is to bring back sovereignty. And I don't have to be the person I don't have to be the person who's in power to do so. I mean, preferably, I don't even like power. I mean, if I were to actually get power, as soon as I believed that everything was right, I would just step down from that position. Because you don't want to be in power situations for too long. Unless we actually get to the point where Plato was talking about, where we have consciousness high enough that we actually have philosophical kings. Now, I have no issue with philosophical kings, but you can't really have philosophical kings if um you know the consciousness is low, because the pull to create that is very, very low, and things are already corrupt. So the first step is we got to raise consciousness. And I don't know how. I mean, I say I can always turn this country around in like 2 to 5 years. You know, if I was able to do what I needed to do, it'd be 2 to 5 years. But so let's get back to the fear-based system. That's what they've had you under, especially ever since after the Civil War. The fear-based system began small and it grew real fast. With the Federal Reserve, was part of the beginning. I would have to look back at everything. I don't think it was the beginning, but it was definitely like the main step forward. So when they put the Federal Reserve in, they basically put it's basically a debt slave system, because the money's fake and it's a system of perpetual debt, because you actually have to go into debt to create money. That's why everything's run off of credit. And that just stems from everything. And then you got the other systems. You gotta pay for your rent system. You gotta pay for your healthcare system. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you know what? We're just gonna take your money. Basically is what it's coming down to. And in these systems, people don't know. They've been so far removed from actual survival that they don't know how it is, or yeah, they don't know how to survive without government. In other words, somebody telling them what to do. They don't know how to figure things out for themselves. This is something that gets lost in the shuffle. Even and people don't realize how easily they can be manipulated. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. Okay, Socrates didn't ever write anything. He believed that writing erased the memory, which it does. Just kind of like using a cell phone erases memory. Now to this, well, I'm going to finish before I go into this, but let's look at Benjamin Franklin. Ben Franklin noticed something with the Native Americans. They had like these awesome memory. Before Westerners started educating them, he noticed that once he gave them the pen, or he noticed that once they gave them the pen and they started writing things down and learning the language, that their memories started to fade pretty fast. So, and I'm not trying to also say that writing isn't good or anything like that, but knowing just in a sense that writing creates amnesia, let's just say, makes shows you how easily things can be manipulated, because if you're losing your memory, then other things can come in and take that void. Um, Power comes in and takes the void that tells you what to be, because people aren't very good at thinking for themselves or solving solutions for themselves. Um, it's but it all does kind of begin with the monetary system, um, because that's your livelihood. That's how you live in the system. And if you start getting towards that edge, and you're gonna be witnessing it here soon with food stamps and government employees and systems collapsing. People have fear about these things because, once again, they've been so far removed from survival or learning how to live without any kind of help or assistance, that they change. Um, and they change to do maybe possibly almost anything to survive. Now, I'm not saying all of them do, but where they're ramping up hatred and division and things of that nature, uh, there's gonna be consequences. And this is why you gotta, like, get hate away from your heart, because hate makes it to where you cannot think straight. And then you start justifying things like, these people deserve to be taken out. And it creates desperation. And desperate people do desperate things. So you have that system, you got the criminal justice system, you got the civil um the civil litigation system, um and all those create fear too. I mean, you're even programmed to, you need to eat 3 meals a day. You need to take this vaccine. You need to take that medication. You need to eat this. You need to vote for this person. You need to wipe your ass. And if you don't do any of those things, then you're crazy. Um, so it's all, and then when you start seeing things from that perspective, you see the show. You see how everything's rigged. Like, let's talk about with Trump. You know, the main reason he got elected was because of Biden and all the stupid things that Biden did. But do you not think that it was just designed that way to get him elected, to cause the events that are coming? Because there's going to be a collapse of systems in America. And this issue isn't going to be solved in a fast method. But we survive. And we do win World War III coming up. We do win that. But after, I'm a little worried about. But we are in the Security United scenario. And it's all, look at my breaks part 35. It's all gonna go away. And you're gonna be facing your fears. And when you're facing your fears, you need to have the courage to stand through it. It's gonna be painful. I've been trying to warn people that the pain is coming, that they think that they know pain, but the true pain is coming. But it's all based on fear, people. And this is, and I hope that people will like, share, and subscribe what I say. I don't really ask people to do that because I kind of want you to come to your own terms. But in a way, I've tried it that way without much success. And I know it's a manipulation thing, but I might say it every once in a while. Um, Not because I like the manipulation aspect, but sometimes, I mean, a lot of people just aren't. I'm not saying that the people who come and listen to me are this. I believe that most of you are pretty independent people, uh, possibly on the Sigma side because I'm a Sigma. But this is where we gotta come up. And we gotta start voicing ourselves. And yeah, maybe everything's rigged, but that doesn't mean that you don't have the power to create. And what do I mean by that? I'm not trying to tell you, oh, just because voting's rigged, that means don't vote. That's kind of what those who want to control your mind want you to believe. I mean, yeah, it's rigged, but that doesn't mean you stop voting. Um, and the reason why is because even though they may be trying to rig it, consciousness creates reality. And so when you're voting for a specific set of ideas that can go into the collective, that help transform this material world, or whatever you want to call it. The surreal world, the Matrix. If you think it's the real world, I would disagree, but go ahead and believe that. So, and this individual sovereignty was really taken away with common law, which so many people praise. Um, okay, so back before the king started issuing writs to create common law, like especially when it came to justice, it was settled locally. Okay, yeah, people would talk things out. We need to get back to talking things out instead of um, having the court decide that, oh, you win such and such money because of this wrongdoing. I think we can agree to find some way of compensation without bankrupting people. Okay? A choice in life shouldn't bankrupt someone. That's punitive punishment. Okay? Which just grows hatred and negativity, and then you're back to the scenario where we are right now. So we gotta do better, and we gotta be better. So, I mean, and basically almost everything that I've put on here involves the fear-based system. Even science has a fear-based system. It manipulates a lot. And people collaborate together to basically dominate the language in science. That's why people believe that tobacco is evil and all this other things. Like, that's why people believe you need vaccines. That's why people believe you need medication. That's why people believe this. That's why people believe that. A lot of this world is people telling you what to believe, but most people have no idea what they truly believe, which is something I'm going to help out on. I'm going to redo my Carl Jung series. It's not completely Carl Jung. I do need to buy some books. But I'm going to begin with Carl Jung. It's going to also go into other stuff, especially leadership things that need to be said, and how to provide a path to raise your consciousness vibration, to grow empathy, to grow love, to grow forgiveness. Because a life needs love, and forgiveness to grow, to expand. Hate, negativity, it constricts, contracts, and keeps things out. Um, oh man. Oh. So, that's the whole idea. How do we replace this fear-based system, this punitive punishment system? Because that has been so ingrained into us that we think that the only way of correcting mistakes is punishment. And at that, punishment that produces fear. Whether it be through financial systems, the criminal justice system, the school systems, to friends who are bullies. It's all based on fear. Fear, 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 fear. And it's all based on fear because when fear is introduced, consciousness lowers and you're easier to control. The good news is that there's a way to reverse the process. It's gonna take probably a little bit longer if I stay in the position and wealth that I am in. Just because sadly things take money. But it's not to be in any way wealthy. It's meant to be used for a good purpose, to be able to design progress, lead progress, and ultimately raise vibrational consciousness. So that's the system we live in. That's the system that even both political parties use. I mean, they use blackmail to control people. Blackmail is a system of fear. Another fear-based system that was started by Mafia, then the FBI, then the CIA, then the NSA, and the blah blah blah, and the blah, and the blah 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 blah. Okay? It's all fear. And y'all spend so much time trying to tell people that these fear-based systems are wrong, which is pretty much a mistake. I mean, it's okay to maybe spend a little time doing it, but what you need to start doing is creating your own systems, or system. And I'm going to provide a guide to that and begin with my next Uniting America one. I'm just going to talk about solutions, and then off this little mini series that I'm doing, that's the Uniting the America series. That's going to be the basis for my book, where I go into more detail about how to actually make what I'm saying possible through steps, through things that I've thought of, like community-based ownership, ideas that would change the landscape of humanity. And don't confuse community with communism or socialism, because they're completely they're different. They're different things. But we need a revolution of the mind, and we need to also open up creativity, because creativity is the pathway to stop the fear-based system that allows you to think instead of react. Because right now, most people are just reacting. Even a job is a fear-based system. At least the way how we perpetrate it today. Because if you don't have a job, you're homeless, and people fear homelessness. So they will compromise themselves, do what they don't even think is right, just to hold a job. And we need to get away from that mindset, because it is not right. we need to be more open-minded. We need to stop telling people what they believe and encourage people to find out for themselves what they believe. And the only thing that we should be doing is providing them guidance. They're an adult. They have to come to their own conclusions. But most people these days have to use authority figures to back their conclusions, or authoritative ideas like the CDC. It's not necessarily anything, but when it comes to holding the authority over certain knowledge systems, especially I would say in the medical field, that people defer their sovereignty to agree with the authority. And it's okay to disagree with the authority, and that's another thing that's become a big issue, is that people think that you have to agree to that authority. Yeah, it's just they give up their sovereignty to believe somebody else just on the basis of belief. And then they try to say, oh, this is true and that is true, and they don't even know what truth is, because they don't even understand that this reality is false and that it's meant to keep you in fear-based systems. In a way, we can overcome that. Like I said, this is our place to create, and right now we're creating fucking hell. But I'm gonna leave it right there. I think I talked pretty good on that. And we're gonna start coming towards the solutions. And that's what I think y'all who come here to listen to me, let's stop criticizing the systems that are already in play and create new systems that give people hope, because people aren't gonna see it until you create it. And it's one thing to speak about it and another thing to do. So that's the direction we need to be moving towards, especially when it comes back to bringing back individual sovereignty and local autonomy. Alright, so now I'm going to tell you about the alien and the spaceship. So here is my new t-shirt. Alright, it's at Raphael Teriel. Well, that's the Raphael Teriel part won't be in there. I just do that to watermark it. But the t-shirt is, have you seen the alien that stole my spaceship? Okay. For me, I think it's just hilarious. But if you have seen the alien that did steal my spaceship, please let me know. But this, like the post emphasizes, this is a large. If you want this, I don't have a store where you can go somewhere. You're gonna have to communicate with me. If you want to, you can contact me on X, because right there is my X, or you can reply to me down below in the comment section, and I'll give you my email, and we can continue that discussion through email. But a large begins at $18, and I can change the color of the shirt. I can change the color of the lettering and the picture if you wanted me to. But yeah, I mean, and prices increase or decrease by size by about $1. Actually, by $1 at the moment. So, like I said, communicate with me, and we'll get that solved. And then there's about $5 shipping and handling charge too. But right now, the main ways, if you choose to support me, I don't think I'm gonna do the buy me a coffee thing. Um, Maybe later on in the future. Right now, I'm trying to build this. I don't want to work on too many things at once. Um, I like to slowly transition into things. I think that's the best way to do it. But and if I can avoid doing that, that would be better. I'd rather make stuff and people buy it from me than ask for donations, even though I know that's an option. Um, unless you just want to donate to me, if that's the case, then let me know and I'll create the buy me a coffee thing, and you can. Um, but yeah, so this is my next t-shirt. Remember the other one was creativity, um, love, forgiveness, unity, or something in that order. This is my first humor one. There'll be more humor. I plan on making t-shirts on the cover of my novel too. Um, kind of interesting that that will be more expensive than my novel. Um, because I got a novel going for $10 and I'm selling a t-shirt with a picture of my novel on it for $18. It's kind of odd, but hey, I guess that's the way how the prices roll. But right now, that's how I'm doing everything. Once I feel like I got the price straightened out, because I'm trying to hit that perfect price point, then I'll probably put things out on the market, but it also has to do with inventory. I don't have a lot of money. I'm a disabled person, so I'm just receiving disability, and so I'm trying to do something that I think can also transform consciousness and get it out there, and at the same time receiving money so I can reinvest that into better and more things, like either um, um, like I use the Cricut Droid Extra to make this. I'd like to have a Cricut Maker 3, or to be able to buy books, or to be able to buy the equipment that I want in order to create those um, good videos that I want to create, and also be able to buy me the time that I need to do the research in order to necessarily do that. And because I think we're coming into pivotal points here, um, and I'm hoping that y'all will help popularize what I'm doing, because I'm one of the few people that believe in less government, because I know that just like organizations, the more that you try to control things, the more those things control you. And when you start getting into micromanaging, it just never works. It pisses people off, and the company doesn't grow. It's, degenerates. But in that, I'm going to go to my outro, and y'all have a lovely day. Remember to stay and think positive, no matter what the fuck is going on. Alright? And welcome back, and to my show, and to the ending. This has been a Uniting America production with the host of a jester, personality. I got stuck in my glasses. Ha ha. Alright. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you next week for um another The Bible Unveiled. This is gonna get interesting because we're gonna start talking about the Antichrist and how it might come from Israel itself. So, and this was actually something that Jews believed back in the day, like during the time of early Christianity. There was an idea that the Antichrist would actually come from the tribe of Dan. And so I know we just got done talking about, like, is the tribe of Dan the Spartans? But now we're going to move that discussion to something else. But on that, y'all have a good one, alright? Have a good one.